They can't trust you when it
What?
comes to saying you're going to show up.
Why was I doing? What was my
Business deals can't necessarily
dying?
get done. Projects will be harder to complete because when you say you'll get the work done, will you get the work done? There will always be that question.
That's a good point. So if you are having any hesitation,
It's my
don't say
it's
I
my
don't say
what
it's
my
take it, but I'm not sure. That
What
builds
say?
trust to be more honest.
not socks.
Be honest.
Shoes.
Be honest.
It's my shoes.
Enthusiasm with the caveat to be honest. I love it. Okay, number 3. My thoughts exactly.
I love this. I say this one a lot, right? When someone says something I agree with, it's just fun with my thoughts exactly. Jessica says this a lot too over on IELTS Energy. I've noticed, like, my thoughts exactly. We are on the same page.
I love it. So here's a role play, right? Quick role play again.
Also part of it. Yeah. I think we should apply for a deadline extension.
Oh, my thoughts exactly. Yeah, this is a good one. I like
Yeah,
it.
it builds it's sort of building a rapport with another person because you're letting them know, like, not only do I agree with you, but like we're very much on the same page. Like I respect and appreciate your opinion. There's sort of more here than just I agree.
Yeah, it's like showing we line up in terms of value.
Oh, sorry. Everyone wants to be my
For
enemy.
building relationships.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the next one, number 4, is we're of the same mind. This one I don't really use quite as much. How about you, Aubrey?
I do hear it. I think I don't use it as much because I am not in that many formal situations at work with my job. But I think those who are giving presentations or are in these formal meetings, I think this is used. It's definitely not outdated.
Yes.
No, say I got your email about changing the panel and we are of the same mind. It's a little more formal.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's outdated. I think it's just reserved for maybe slightly more corporate environments. For example, I'm leaning towards switching up the team.
We are of the same mind. Let's do it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so you might hear it in more informal scenarios. It's based on someone's personality, but yeah, it wouldn't be strange for me to hear this in a more informal situation. But definitely the most of.
Yes. And now that leads us to our key poll for today, which we want to encourage you guys to go and participate. Aubrey, what is the question? And again, this key poll is only available in Spotify, so you do need to be listening in Spotify. So we recommend you head over there and vote.
Absolutely. So our poll today is which is your favorite way to say you agree? 100%. My thoughts exactly. Choose which one you like the most.
Yeah, and this really does depend on personality. So I think it's an interesting category that we came up with today. Sometimes people try, depending on which culture you're speaking English in, culture. People speak in a hyperbolic way, or are they more reserved and understated, right?
And I really love the takeaway to build trust by being honest about how much you agree, whether you are for sure committed, or focus wrong. It's you might get the impression that we are 100% on board with it if we're not.
Yeah, and then beyond that, the other message is, of course, don't just always say yes, right, or I agree. Say something more interesting. Strive to build that vocabulary and make it more diverse. Okay? All right, good stuff today, Aubrey. Guys, hit follow if you like Business English from All Ears English. And Aubrey, I'll see you very soon. All
Awesome.
right.
See you next time, Lindsay.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Business English, a podcast just for you, the high-achieving global professional. Want more from All Ears English? Don't miss our biggest and best podcast with 8 billion monthly downloads. Just search for the All Ears English podcast and hit follow to get 4 new episodes per week on fluency, American culture, grammar, and so much more. Or tap the link in the show notes. Remember, we believe in connection, not perfection, when it comes to learning English. Follow the All Ears English podcast now.
Like starting in English.
This is the
Starting
Business
English
Podcast episode
for me is
279. How to
for
coordinate
me.
plans at
For
work.
my studying English, it's kind of
Welcome to the Business English Podcast
like
from
for me,
All
after
Ears
after
English.
studying,
English
like
skills you need to achieve your dreams in global
after
business.
spending too much time to study
A meeting or
language,
your office party.
that
This
is
is Real
English.
Business English with your
I feel
favorite
very
American
brain.
hosts, Lindsay and Michelle, coming to you from New York City and Colorado, USA.
Colorado, USA.
Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you, Michelle? What's going
I'm
on?
good. I'm
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Lindsay, do you find that it's difficult to coordinate schedules sometimes?
Sure. Sometimes it can be really tricky. It's exponentially more tricky the more people you
Exponentially.
add to the task of trying, because people are busy and you add another person with their complicated schedules.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
I
Yes,
need
it's very
to.
hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
People, I mean, there are people who their
Great.
whole job is
Oh,
coordinating,
shit.
right? Project
Right.
coordinator. So it's no small potatoes. It's a
No
it's a
small
real it's a real thing. And we're going to be talking about this word coordinate today because we have a great listener question that I'm excited to answer. But guys, before we get into it, we want to remind you to hit follow wherever you're listening to the Business English podcast.
Yeah, guys, hit that follow button, whether it's, well, it would be the subscribe button on YouTube, although, yes, on YouTube, or hit the follow button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whatever it is, hit follow
Yeah.
now. And by the way,
my
episode
home.
361,
No, my
here's
base
2
become
cents
more
how to walk
safer.
back. Your opinion at work would be a good one to check out.
Okay, I need to
Super useful
create.
episode,
Yeah.
Very, very good. All
That's
right.
fine.
Should I read the question?
Yes, please do, Michelle.
All right, so this is from Rafael from Brazil. So he says, "Good day, guys. I love that. I'm Rafael from Brazil. I
So,
need to mention
that's
I feel like we're
love.
close because I'm literally always listening to you. I
Wait.
love
Oh, we
that.
love that. We love
That means a lot to you.
Wait.
That means a lot to us. It says, once a day with my wireless headphones." And
Aw.
then he says, "How can I
Someone.
use coordinate?" Good question, specific, to the point. We
Hey.
love
Hey.
questions. So, let's get into it, Lindsay. I mean, there are several different meanings of the
Oh,
word
it's not
coordinate.
safe here.
We're mostly going to focus on the most common one today that's also very useful for business. That's why I snatched up this question for the Business English podcast.
Yes.
It's gonna be
This.
your tasty.
This is something a word that's frequently used in business, for sure. For sure.
Yep. So, Lindsay, what does it mean
Where
to
is he?
coordinate?
All right, so that's a good question. So to coordinate something is basically to organize how something will run. So there could be a lot of moving pieces, moving parts when it comes to this. For example, a wedding coordinator, right?
Ah, yes.
Yes. A lot of people will hire. We had a day of coordinator, which is more trendy now. Instead of hiring an entire coordinator for the whole planning thing, you just hire someone for the day, and most of their work is done on that day. You make sure people walk down the aisle properly. There's a lot to coordinate when it comes to weddings.
Whew. Yes, there is, and I don't think that the coordination
Have a
was
good
so
one?
good for my wedding. I mean, we had our wedding at our hotel, and so there was a coordinator that worked there as part of the hotel, and I mean, it's been a long time.
Well,
so
it's
I think
gonna
the
be for
thing
only
that the
zombies.
coordination, I think, could have been stronger.
Uh-oh, okay, well, yeah, you never know with who you hire. But anyway, so coordinating is something that's done at weddings, but it's done in a lot of other places too,
Oh, yeah.
at work, right, Michelle?
At work, yeah, you have to coordinate schedules. I think especially with the online world and how with the global health crisis, things change. People working at different
Oh,
times.
it's
Maybe people
originally
do their work
everybody wants to be
more in
an
the evening.
enemy.
Maybe people might even get work done on the weekend. So it's not that they're in a different coast. You have a California office. I mean, Lindsay, we have this because we're always we work in I guess 3 different time zones across
I
four
know,
of us, right?
I-
And then other members of the team as well. So
Yes.
it can make your brain hurt sometimes.
Can break your brain. It can break your brain. We use a site called Doodle. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's Doodle.
and we run a poll where,
Psycho
for
Doodle.
example, if I want to
Noodle,
organize a
doodle.
meeting, I'll type in the times I'm available. I'll try to put as many possible times I can, and then everyone else will line up their times, and then we find usually there's just one time, Michelle. After across 2 weeks where we could all meet. It's incredible.
Well, sometimes what happens though, if I'm the last one to answer, I only click on the ones that I see everybody in. So
Yeah, oh, okay, I
I'm
see,
like,
I
I'm
see.
not even gonna. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, well, we're obviously not
That
doing
makes
that.
sense.
So let's
That
see
makes sense.
when I'm available, when everybody else is available.
Very
So-
strategic.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're curious about the work, but yeah, this coordination is not easy. It's a lot and very important for business. So let's
Yes.
show how do we use this word in sentences.
Okay, so it's a verb, right? So for example, we have to coordinate our
Oh, it's
schedules
beautiful.
to make sure we have time to conduct all the job
Maybe
interviews.
it's a time
Yeah,
to
there's a lot
cultivation.
of forethought that's required. When it comes to a
Cultivation.
project like hiring someone
I'm not
or
sure
running a
if,
Yeah.
team meeting. Okay, what else?
if there
Michelle?
is a word
Let's
cultivation.
coordinate later so we can
in
decide
French.
on the meeting agenda.
Cultivation.
Or Sarah is coordinating the company's
Cultivation.
plans to market to a new age group.
Let's
So there's a
do
lot of
it.
ways. Yeah, this is a very common word that can be put into multiple places. Right?
Right, and it doesn't only have to be about schedules. It can be or like this example, coordinate plans, right? Taking charge of something as well.
Yeah, for sure. Michelle, what do you do when you need to coordinate plans? I mean, what do you? What's your method? What's your go-to method?
I try and prioritize a lot, and I try and make sure I have something set in stone, like something almost completely set before I move on to the next thing.
Okay.
Because then I can build on one thing to the next one. Because if there's too many holes, then I can just get confused. So I like to, I guess, have maybe a bit of an anchor to start off, and then I can start moving on. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think like it just when things get harder to coordinate when you just have more people. Like so when you have kids, it just gets that much harder to coordinate schedules, right? Just the more people you add to wrangling people, right?
Wrangling the kids
great
up.
word.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
right. Yeah. For example, I'm not able to pick up my son on the last day of school because I have to be somewhere, so I had to coordinate. Okay, first, does my daughter have her baby? Okay. Now, okay, so we have that set. Now I know that my son and where. Yeah. A lot of coordination as a parent, for sure. As and a parent who tries to work.
Oh my gosh, for sure. Wow. Okay. All right, Michelle. But there are other words that could also be. We never want to be repeating the same word over and over. We want to have vocabulary resources and options, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. So another word we could use is orchestrate. Now, this one is much more formal, not used as frequently, but you could use it. What do you think, Liz?
I like it. I like it. It feels even more like a point to leadership in a sense. More planning. Orchestrate feels random for some reason for me. Let's orchestrate our plans.
Yeah.
Sure, I like it to be able to use it as a slightly different. I don't know. Maybe if it's a bigger event, right? Speaking to, maybe it's like getting kids to a doctor's appointment. It has to be something bigger, right? He
Right.
orchestrated this entire plan for a surprise party
Yeah.
for his dad's 50th birthday or retirement
Right.
party or something. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Or it makes me think of an orchestra. Maybe somebody can
Right.
the conductor, right?
Right,
Actually, how can we fit everything together
Exactly.
in a
Exactly.
beautiful, harmonious way?
Exactly. It's like you imagine a conductor up there and pointing to this group. Now the flute play and the percussion, and that's it. Just it's like a chessboard, right?
Sure.
Moving the pieces on the chessboard. Super interesting. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next word? Let's see.
Arrange. So this word is a little bit more of a down-to-earth, mundane word. Let's arrange our schedules so we can take the train at the same time. So very straightforward word here, but also useful.
And you could have also said, let's coordinate our schedule. So
Yeah.
those are pretty much interchangeable there.
I think pretty much. Or organize, another one that falls into the same category. Let's organize how we want the meeting to go. Then we can hand out tasks. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright.
Pretty good stuff. Should we do a role play?
Yeah, we know our listeners love these role plays. Here we go. So we're coworkers, and we're in charge of planning the meeting together, right?
Oh, there we go. Okay, so first we should talk about how to coordinate everyone's schedules in the fall. For the fall.
Definitely. It's going to be tricky to arrange, but we can do it. Everyone just needs to be on board.
Yeah, we should organize everything on a giant team calendar.
Great idea. Then we can orchestrate how everything would work, or you could say how everything will work too. Both
Everything will work.
would be useful in that case, right? Will
Yeah.
work, would work.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly. So, yeah, we're making plans here at work.
Yeah, exactly. So you said first we should talk about how to coordinate everyone's schedules. Coordinating schedules, kind of a chunk, right? Then I said,
You said it's going to be tricky to arrange, but we can do it. So you could have said it's going to be tricky to coordinate. That would be fine as well.
for sure, a lot of these can be interchanged. And then you said we could organize everything on a giant team calendar. You're making a suggestion. Okay.
And then you have a great idea, then we can orchestrate how everything will work.
I like it.
So,
And
yeah, this
go ahead.
makes me think of Monday.com, actually.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, sure, for sure. We have our boards on Monday.com, and we see what everyone's doing every week. Super useful. There's also a good bonus as well to be on board. I bet we've talked about this, but maybe not on Business English. Maybe over on All English.
Yeah.
What does that mean? To be on
To be on board, you're signing up for it. You're in.
You're in. you're in agreement. You are ready.
Yeah.
You are participating willingly, right? That's what that means. Is everyone on board? Let's get everyone on board. That could be another episode of Business English for another day, for sure. Guys, hit the follow button. So, Michelle, what are your takeaways today? Where do we leave our listeners?
Well, this is a great question that our listener Raphael asked, and it's a great business word. To coordinate something. So this is good for outside of the workplace, but it's also really, really helpful for inside of work. Use these words. You will hear them. Yeah, I'm quite confident you will hear all of these words that we use today, and just try them out. Try them out one at a time, and take a go, and let us know if you're good at coordinating.
Right, especially if you're in a position where this is what you do, project management, leadership, management, some kind of position where you're getting people together. You are orchestrating how things are going to happen, right? But even if you work in code development, for example, and software creation of the actual software or something, or any other aspect of a company, you still should know words like this, right? These are not just specific to project managers, okay?
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
This is very useful. Let us know in the comments of the episode how you coordinate things. Are you very organized? Let us know. I'm curious.
All right, good stuff, Michelle. I'll talk to you very soon. Have a good one.
All right. Bye. You too.
Thank you for listening to Business English, a podcast just for you, the high-achieving global professional. Want more from All Ears English? Don't miss our biggest and best podcast with 8 million monthly downloads. Just search for
My forehead
All Ears
deficiency.
English podcast and hit follow to get 4 new episodes per week on fluency,
Where the
American
number?
culture, grammar, and so much more. Or tap the link in the show notes. Remember, we believe in connection, not perfection.
Why are there
when it
too
comes
many-
to learning English? Follow the All Ears English
Wait a
podcast
minute.
now.
This is the Business English Podcast, episode 280. Should you comment on appearance at work?
Welcome to the Business English Podcast from All Ears English. Get the English skills you need to achieve your dreams in global business. Vacation,
Finally.
meeting, or your office party,
But
this
I've got
is
nothing.
Real Business
Oh,
English
yeah.
with your favorite American hosts, Lindsay and Aubrey, coming to you from Arizona and Colorado, USA. Hello, Aubrey. How's everything today?
I'm great. How are you, Lindsay?
I'm doing well. I have a question for you. You're ready
Yes.
for it? Here it
I am.
comes.
Let's
All
hear
right. So, has anyone ever made you feel uncomfortable by commenting on your appearance at work? Serious question today.
Ooh, this is a serious question, and I'm very excited that we're getting into this. Because yes, I have had someone compliment me. They've complimented my body in a way that immediately made me uncomfortable. And I know they just meant to be kind and complimentary. And I didn't really know how to respond. I sort of wanted to say something like, please don't comment on my body, but I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable. It put me in a really strange situation. You want to
Awkward.
keep this positive working relationship, it was
Yeah.
awkward. So I'm glad we're talking about this today.
Yeah, very awkward. Sorry that you had to encounter that. It is cultural. I mean, that's part of why we're bringing this up, right, Aubrey? Today, it's really important. We want to flag this issue for our listeners because not every culture is the same. But let's talk about where we're at now in 2024 in the U.S. workplace around commenting on people's appearance at work. Where are
Yes.
we at?
This
Yeah.
could be considered sexual harassment at work, even if what you are saying is meant 100% as a
Maybe
compliment.
he wants
If
to
you
have
are
some wheat
saying
too.
anything about a person's body, it could make them feel uncomfortable. They could potentially report it to HR. It could be considered a sexual harassment violation. So in the U.S. especially, but possibly elsewhere in the world, you want to avoid this.
Yeah, and this has changed a lot over the years. I mean, even if you watch a current popular series like Mad Men is still very popular as a show today, but it shows the workplace back in the 50s. Right, Aubrey?
Yes, or The Morning Show, which is showing sort of the start of the Me Too movement and how things evolved even very recently with some of the charges. So yeah, it's interesting to see how it's changed a lot just within the last decade or so.
Yeah, things have changed even faster, I think, in the last 5 years even. It's just incredible. So things are moving fast. You need to keep up with it. And so if you're living in the U.S., working here, you want to really pay extra attention. Or, of course, if you're going to be traveling to the U.S. for a conference, a business meeting, if you're often on conference calls with your U.S. office, this all matters too.
Yes. Or if someone from the U.S. is traveling to your company, this also would apply, right?
Oh,
That
yeah.
person is going to be used to U.S. culture and what should or shouldn't be said about their body. So it's a lot to think about, and it might be other cultures as well. So better safe than sorry if you don't have details about every person's culture.
So we got started on part 1 over on All Ears English. So guys, go over there, hit follow, listen to All Ears English 2230. How should you describe someone's appearance in English? We went into some tips there, but today we're raising the stakes, Aubrey, and we're taking it into the workplace. for part
Exactly,
two.
and we shared a lot of adjectives there for describing a person's appearance. So be sure to go and check that out so that you can get all of that good information. But it is different at work. So we're doing a follow-up here to talk about how this would be different in a
Yeah.
place of work.
And I feel like the overall message, which is the takeaway before we do
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, the overall takeaway here, preview of the takeaway is it doesn't really matter. Like, people's appearance at work is kind of irrelevant to the work you're trying to get done with your coworkers or your clients. It's irrelevant. You're working with your mind or your abilities, your talents, your skills. So why make a comment about appearance at work? It doesn't make any sense. It's out of context.
Exactly. If you want to compliment a coworker, compliment their work ethic, compliment their progress more, and it won't make them
Exactly. And by the way, this goes both ways. So,
Yes.
of course, it's not a double standard. Women also shouldn't be commenting to men or same genders to each other any direction.
Absolutely.
It does
And
not.
it doesn't matter if someone's single or married. It
Yeah.
applies either way to everyone.
Yes, love it. Okay, so let's get more into depth on the 2 tips. What was the first tip?
Yeah. First is your colleague's appearance.
Yeah.
And this includes no compliments or criticism, right? No comments or descriptions of a person's body. And this might come up. Someone might say, "Did you meet the new employee? Oh, which one are you talking about? What do you describe?" Or you're going to go into what you should describe, and it's not their body.
Definitely. So avoiding descriptions of their body. Again, as you said, complimenting the work ethic, complimenting how excited you are to work with them, right? As a new employee, looking forward to doing some great work together. So that's the first tip, right? It's also the overall idea of the episode, but it's the most important thing you're going to learn today, guys.
Exactly. But you might be in a situation where you need to describe someone. So our second tip is if you do need to describe someone, keep it very professional and do not use any value judgments. So this is beauty, weight, things that might be considered a value judgment. Instead, of course, you can describe hair color, hair length, eye color, height.
Yeah, and Aubrey, just to make this more clear, we'll see this in the role play, but what kind of scenario would it be in which we actually need to give some reference points?
Right? Imagine someone asks you, did you okay, they gotta describe them now so that you can differentiate between these different people. And at work, you want to be especially careful to not use any value judgments.
Or if you are new at a company and people are saying, oh, did you meet the CEO? Did you meet the head of HR? Oh, was that the person
was that?
XYZ? Then we want to, that's not a great way to get started
Right,
at
exactly.
work by describing these. Okay, so that's the point. So there are certain things that we could say that are a little bit more objective, right?
Exactly, right? Hair color, length, eye color, height. And then, of course, you can share what department they're in, what they do, if you're trying to narrow down to figure out who someone's referring to.
And what else?
But we just want to avoid specifically comments about weight, skin color, and
Yeah.
comments on beauty.
Is to know who you're talking about, right?
Exactly. You might feel like, oh, do I need to share some of these value judgments so that they understand who we're talking about? And we're saying, no, you don't, right? If you have described these safe things, hair color, eye color, and the department they work in, and they still are saying, I'm not sure who you're talking about, we have two phrases that you can use.
Right. So the first one is you'll just have to meet them. They seem great, and this will make more sense when we get into the role play, guys. So just sort of